Thanks, everybody. As you can see up there, our program is an amazing partnership coordinated by the Great Lakes Fishery Commission with partners from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Army Corps of Engineers, USGS, Fisheries and Oceans, and for every Great Lake, our provincial and state partners are a little different. So for this one, New York State DEC and MNRF, and also the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, all play a role in how we deliver our program here. So I'm going to focus on our targets right up front. It's kind of like an old movie, you get the ending first, and then we're going to go summarize what we've done this year and tell you a bit about what we're going to do in the this year, So, in the lake trout plan, it's being revised. I'm not sure if these will stay the same, but we have a target for our index, which is 11,368 adult lamprey, plus or minus 3,000 or so. And right now our estimate for that, which comes from Ted Tresca and Mike Siefkis to me, using data from all the partners I mentioned, we're below target, which is good. Our range is right within the range of the target. Our marking rate is a little different than what Brian showed because it's based on information from 3 sources. So there's 1.8 marks for every 100 lake trout greater than 432 millimeters, or as he said, 17 inches. So that's also good news. I'll tell you more about the moving average type values when I get to the graphs that show time series. So now I'm going to move into my area of expertise, lamprey control. Last year we did treatments on 19 streams. DFO did about 17 of those, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service did 2 because we had a couple add-ons, and they pulled it out for us and got down there and did them. I'll explain those in a second. And we had 2 lentic treatments on the Black River mouth area and the Moyer River up in the Bay of Quinte. That picture at the bottom right is a GB boat. They're not actually spraying there though, they're just posing. There's a nice map of what we did last year. Pretty good coverage, and for those who've watched the presentations on your salmon and trout projects, you might recognize that lamprey like the exact same streams that your salmon and trout do, because they're pretty good water quality for most of them. Of interest though is Kevin and his group are always on the lookout for new populations of lamprey, or new infestations if you call it that, and they found some for us to do last year. So the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service jumped in at Owasco and Altmar Creeks on the east end and took care of those for us, and we could not get there. We were already work planned to the limit. And we also had a first time ever treatment of the Black River's lentic area. I can't tell you what that produced though, because I just don't know the answer. I'm going to move now on to a barrier part of our program called an alternative control. That picture in there is from an engineering event that Bwani and his staff took part in last year. Anyways, aside from the routine maintenance, which they did, and you can see the numbers there, there were some improvements done to Orwell. That was a new dam we put in, lamprey purposed, and to 2 Canadian barriers at Graham and Coburg Brooks, or Creek, I mean, and 23 structures that aren't typically thought of as lamprey type structures were assessed and put into our BIPs, and you can read it yourself what it means. Other works that were done last year, Duffin's Creek near Toronto was modified, and the credit had a modification done and some loggers put in to help us understand hydrodynamics around that structure. Something of interest to everyone who likes things like connectivity or like us, we don't like more lamprey habitat. Two barriers that are up for consideration for removal, one at Gill Creek and one in the Oswego River. Basically, our current position is that we concurred for the reasons you see on the right, lack of habitat, and there's another structure further downstream that's got good blockage. And then move on now to the larval side. This is where treatment, what I do, gets all of its, basically our orders come from here in the control board. We'll go back up one. As you can see, last year they went full out, looked at 96 tributaries in both countries. 7 of those were, or they did surveys to estimate abundance at 7 tribs. Surveys to detect the presence of new St. Lamprey populations in 67 tributaries, and they found some. Post-treatment evaluations tells me how good I did my job. They did that in 16 tributaries. Barrier effectiveness in 8. And as you will see in a minute in a map, 2 tributaries to the credit were identified as producers, and I get to take care of those in May. A previously uninfested tributary to the New York Salmon River, Altmar, which I talked about before, was found to contain multiple age classes of lamprey, including juveniles, at the Owasco Lake outlet, Oswego River system. Again, they found multiple age classes of lampreys, including juveniles. And some work done on the Bowmanville Creek suggested that the creek above the barrier could support greater than 265,000 lampreys, based on the native lampreys that are up there. Important for you guys all to consider when we talk about mitigating structures. In 2015, the LOC adopted a new index, which I'll talk about here. I won't talk about the old one at all. And it's based on traps that are more consistently run over time. And it's more about getting trends in abundance, more so than a population estimate. In Lake Ontario, these streams are the Humber, Black River, Duffins, Bowmanville, and Sterling Creeks. We still operate other traps, though. They're just not used for this purpose. The mean marking rate, as I said before, was about 1.8 based on Ted Tresca's estimate. And the number of adults captured from those 5 structures was 3,900 or so. And the index of adult abundance coming from all of that information was around 10,000 animals plus or minus 4,000. Now you can see the trend through time, as Brian also showed. We're on target for wounding rates, which suggests that the amount of mortality imposed up by lamprey on lake trout is in a range that keeps everyone happy with respect to the previous plan anyways. Also, you can figure out that the 3-year average is a little below target, and the 5-year is right around target, which are good things for your way of thinking about fish community objectives. There's our index of abundance based on those 5 traps. Again, you can see the 3-year average below target. The 5-year average is declining. This year will be interesting after a nice warm winter with a warm spring coming up. So next year, we're going to move on to what we're going to do next year. You can see the list of streams that we're proposing to do without any add-ons yet. That's it. 10 streams in the US and Canada. We're putting a huge focus on Lake Superior this year, so that might have influenced this a little bit, but it's mostly through ranking and expert judgment. We would always be coming here to do some of them. Distribution's a little different than you saw before. More spread out in Ontario, but still focused on the east end of Lake Ontario in New York. The alternative guys, the barrier control guys, they're also going to keep doing what they normally do. I don't have numbers for you there, but if you look at our report, which is out in the lobby, you can probably read more details than I'm going to tell you. Some flow monitoring exercises proposed at the Rouge. That's the mouth of the Rouge River there, and the structure would be several kilometers north of that, because the 401's still out of picture. Larval and adult assessment is going to occur in 56 streams. They're going to do a ranking study in 3, and trapping will occur at 5 index streams and 3 non-index streams. And that's about it.